Welcome, everyone, to the Blueprint for Peace for Humanity, presented by the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. It's day 4, and this is the afternoon session for Wednesday, July 5th, 2017. And once again, we are honored to have Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation available here to speak to us again this afternoon. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin?
Yes, good afternoon. Good day to you as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these special presentations of the Keshe Foundation. Those of you who were with us long enough, you know we taught in the first term of the training 5 days a week, 2 sessions for 12 weeks. And through those teachings, we set the foundation, the core of the teachings in all sorts of parts of the knowledge of the foundation. It's used partially for teachings and partially for references and referrals. We are back in the same position now, and we are in the same, more or less, the same context, the same way. What we teach here and what is taught in the next 30 days will become part of the structure of the teachings in the time to come, where so much has been taught in past even 3-4 days that man has never known. It's unknown knowledge. We are adding to it. We are adding to the knowledge in a way that allows us to understand more, and we leave a fingerprint for the future generations. What we'll teach, what we'll learn, what you bring us as knowledge. In so many ways, even I was thinking this afternoon when those who came here to make whatever fingerprints of their lives, in the future will be used for those to learn how bad this time has been, how the evil forces work in the background. It's a fingerprint for people to remember, as we say, how the devil works. And it's good for them to let them come in, that in the future we don't say it was all good, and they understand why humanity had to progress so rapidly. When we speak, there were so many bad things at the time. There were so many people doing so wrong. Now they come and they leave their fingerprints, their voices. These voices will be known. And it's good for humanity to understand. The school of thought, when the man was progressing to the next steps of knowledge of humanity and the universe. I allow these things to happen because when we talk about it in the future, they say, no, there was or there hasn't or whatever. But you have to understand these are the foot soldiers of the dark forces of the universe. They exist in every shape or form they try. And these are specific to the human race. We don't see these kind of people anywhere else. I've never come across, so I have to learn their way. I lived with one of them for 10 years working it. Never knew. But when you listen, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time from dates of today, and when the man progresses, then we remember them. Then we know in so many ways why we have to get rid of borders, why we have to stop all sorts of things, being the armies and the rest. These are the people who create doubts, conflicts, divisions, and through it, wars. You don't need to have a gun to be a soldier, to be a man who destroys. These people do with the way they work. 4 or 5 across the internet have created such a mayhem that no one knows how and where these forces of darkness get their instructions from. They're soldiers. They are no different than anybody else. It's us who has to be in the same process to elevate their souls, to let them run their way, because they bring a lot of good things to us. I had a conversation, and in what do you call it, communication, that why don't you stop these things? I said to them, it's very good. Do you know why we have to have these? Why these, what they call trolls, have to be? These are soldiers, which people who are doubtful because of their lack of knowledge, listen to this and walk away. And these are good, because in the future they don't understand, we have to carry them. When they are ready, they come to us. They are the best things happen to us. The more they put, and we watch them, we watch their operation, we watch what they do, because we have to understand, as we say, how the devil works. These are not our anything but challenges to understand how to elevate these people. How we have to give that they receive enough. You have to understand, these are all, as you understand, like yesterday, I released telephone numbers which are not correct. I released addresses in so many ways, just to see what they react in the back room, in the chat rooms, they're talking to each other. We are monitoring everywhere, in every shape or form, because these are the evidences we are trying to collect. As you understand, the weakness is that they think they are very clever, but strange enough is what we see they communicate, they'll be using courts of law. In a way, they walk into it. They literally walk into it, because as I told you, we're starting criminal action against these people, and we have to show the voice recording will be on, and the tracking will be on, and the writing, which was them, so they cannot deny it. And thank you very much. You're helping us more and more. Please call more, because we need more of these. And write to each other more, because we're monitoring you, the water you drink, more or less. Because we need you to be able to clean out those doubters. In so many ways, in advantages of what they do, they help us. They help us to understand what is needed to be done to not to allow these people to find their way into the universal community. It's very easy to do it, but they have to walk back. We cannot. One of the principal teachings of the universe is very simple. You cannot steal. You cannot not to give that the others not to receive. That's a stealing. You learn in the process of space technology and the process of entering universal community, those who withhold from giving are those who do not receive themselves. It's a very strange situation. We think if we don't give, we have. But those, in fact, who don't give, they don't receive, because they have no position to receive, because it's a chain of work. It's the soul which works. You got to realize, we understand the totality work of the universe. We understand the extension of the work of the universe, which man can enter gradually and elevate his soul to understand one thing. And that is, the soul of the man is equal to the soul of the rest of the universal community. It's the conduct which counts, not the soul. Understand, when the soul is so pure and it receives, it enters the universal community in a different strength and different dimension. It's very much as one atom, or the strength of atom of hydrogen or atom of a copper. Otherwise, they are both atoms, they both shine. We see CH3 at, let's say, at the weight of what, 15, and we see zinc oxide 80, 81, 78, and they are both white, but different shine of white. The zinc oxide, if you look, is always so bright, snow white. When you look at the CO2, if you look at the CH3, still shines. This is how you become. The more you receive, the more you shine. The more you have received, the shinier star, the better cycle of life one creates. What does the soul do? Where do the soul sleep? Do the soul ever rest? Or resting is the habit of physicality. If we look at the sun, sun never stops shining. So is the soul of the man. If we look at the structure of the elevation of the soul of the sun, is exactly the same as the man. When we see strange activities on the sun, we see more black spots and gray spots. So is when the man does not want to see, we see the gray spots and black spots on the brain of the man. Now we have a technology with the strong systems, we see the real dark spots on the sun. Then we have a technology, we see real gray spots on the brain of the man too. We call it for MS or ILS. So in fact, if you understand, there is no difference, it's just the size. We got to understand what we do not understand, what we could not understand, what we cannot comprehend, what to us is the mystery with the work of the brain of the man. All we need to do is to look in the spans of the universe, in the solar system or the rest. You got to comprehend, it's a comprehension. What color means what, and what color means in the essence of me, which affects that strength, the color of the size inside the soul of the man within the structure of the soul. You don't have eyes, but the fields you observe from other entities matches certain strength inside the structure of the soul, of the plasma of the soul of the man. Then that color, that strength to you has a meaning. It means, does it take more than I can give at this level, or I have enough to give to exist? Then that strength to you at certain point is the strength of the survival. I want to stay. That the strength, that's the maximum I can give before I have to receive enough that I can guarantee my process. So we have the emotion using our brain. We have emotion according to the strength inside our soul. Given the strength inside the soul for a given emotion manifests itself at that thinkness, structure, composition of the fields in the brain of the man. in the physical matter state. It's not that it just happened to be here, in that position, in that strength, with that distance from the soul, the center of the brain of the man. The effect of the fields is the same as such a strength gravitational magnetic field within the soul structure of the man. I made man in the image of myself. As I've said many before, it's not just the face and the nose, it's all the structure of what you feel. The soul has a feeling. The soul cries. The cry of a soul man shall never see, but it shows by itself when it releases part of its strength. Those who step up and understand and shall see the soul will understand when the soul cries, when it feels I cannot give what I want to and I want to give more. I'm not receiving in what I want to give. And it's not the same as human being, we cry when we don't receive. For that reason, it sheds part of itself, releases part of itself that it can give, that in the process of giving allows other to exist. In time, when we understand more, we see more, we do not need to see the physicality, but impression and the fields of the soul of the man or any other entity will show us the feeling of it, the composition of it. Do we need to create souls which are voids and cannot understand or receive what we want to give? In so many yes, so many ways more than yes. Because they absorb the fields which we do not need, but we are not aware of, but is at the strength of their receive, which this allows us in a way to clean up the dusts, clean up the surplus fields, which to us we were not aware of even exist. The point which we'll learn in the time to come is how to communicate with other souls. In how we initiate the communication with other souls. In how we understand another soul wants to communicate with us. There is a message in the line. There is information which comes. This is why we dream about the mother or a brother or a cousin or somebody stranger we never met before. It comes to what we call in the physical dimension of the life, in interaction with the matter state gans of the body of the man into physical dream that we see. How do we know what the message is? They don't speak our language. They don't speak French, German or whatever language, Arabic or whatever. But how do our soul understand the language of another soul which is not from this planet? It's not from here. It's got nothing to do with us. But we have to understand its language because its existence is fundamental to our existence. If you don't understand, he could be telling you, do not go, there is something wrong there. There's a strong field you don't want to enter. There is something which you need to know that I have to do something with. How do you come across two bodies exactly the same shape? To you, let's say they both look as male, but you don't understand in this line, in this type, in this part of the creatures of the universe, one is a male and one is a female. How do we interact and how we expect not to cross a line that starts creates conflicts? In the coming time, we teach the language of universe in detail. But for us, we have to understand the language of universe should not become a language of war. Exactly what we talk. We have to understand how things happen, how we do things, why we do things. What is the reason we do things? Where do we go? How do we understand what it means? That what another soul is trying to tell us. The understanding of the totality is what we need to understand. In a space, there is no conflict. In a space, there is no war. In a space, those who say we see people wanting to start, we see in battlefields, is just meager imagination. It's just, they try to justify the animal behavior of this planet with themselves. One of the most important things for us as a human race is to understand the totality of the work in the totality of what we need and the way we need it. And in so many ways, doesn't matter if we make a mistake and do not see. In so many ways, what about if we do not see, we do not understand, we make a mistake in the communication. The soul of the man, if by any chance you make a mistake, how can it be protected? What do we do when in the deep space we manifest ourselves in certain physicality? which by mistake of our own or not knowing or whatever reason turns up to be endangering our soul. What about if we manifest ourselves in the wrong place? How do we get out of it? It happens all the time. Let's say you manifest yourself in a cave with no space to come out. Understanding that your soul needs energy to receive, that it can elevate itself, to retract, to receive, to come back, or to move to one direction or another. In time to come, we teach all this. We try to explain that you are not and you cannot be afraid of. In talking to many people, in talking to some of the Mojans, they say, I want to change, but it doesn't happen. I want to see my soul, but it doesn't happen. I want to understand how to receive my soul, to elevate my soul, to be able to do this, or to move there, or to be able to find a new position. The only reason man stops is the fear of, can I come back? Would I lose anything? If you trust in your soul, you never lose none. So you can always go back to your soul. You can retract everything back to the energy of the soul, and then remanifest yourself. This is important. I tell you why this is important. You heard about mutation. You heard about cloning. You understand what it means to be able to carry the face of an entity, because you have to feed the desire of you is to be in the place. You want to come to the land, you come to the earth, and desire of coming to the earth in conversion of the soul gives you the physicality of the man on the earth if you want to have. Now imagine, if you are the president of a nation, and it's that president of a nation that you want to sign the peace contract. Now guess how many presidents will sign the contract of peace? Replication of physicality is easier than photocopy machine. Let me explain. Many of us have seen those who do strange things and they are not from this planet, but they look like a man. If they manage to attain the color, the shape of the man in where they are, what they want to look like, you think copying of a president's shape will be any different? If your wish is true to sign a peace treaty in the name of a certain president, you shall wear the soul of the president's physical manifestation. Those who understand, they know what it can be done. If there is mayhem of many presidents of the same nation, one signs, the nation has to obey. We are opening the eye of the man to understanding the operation of the soul of the man. If you wish to create from your soul the strength of the field of a weapon, for it not to fire, you are the system. Try in the coming time to understand the operation of the soul. You cannot harm with it, but the intention is peaceful and correct. It will support the soul of the man. I've made many warnings and we've seen many changes. When we say we can hold the submarine without ever moving, we can bring the whole armament of a ship into total freeze, which means they cannot operate. Now you know what I mean. With your soul, if it's so strong to silence every gun, which means every gun can only silence with what it carries as a powder or whatever, you need to create the opposite, and no gun shall fire. The stupidity of the man in production of the arm is replication of the matter of the, in what we call proportion of the system. When you reach the strength of one, the rest are locked. If you take a bullet in your hand and you can match its fields, you'll find out it'll never fire. So, those of you who understand this and you can bring about, as I said, to certain people, you want to stop certain things, it's very easy. Create the opposite field effect, because everything with man is so simple because it's always materialistic. And creation of the matter is very simple. What I'm going to do, I have taught half an hour. What you think? And I move back because I can talk and teach for centuries to come. If it's not understood, it just be a recording on the file. One day somebody will listen and understand. Try, I step down. Try to see how you can teach each other, guide each other to become to the next step, to elevate your soul. Remember the things I explained to you today, how easily you can do it, plus the day before. Try, as we heard the lady about migraine, we hear other people with different things. Try to understand and share with each other the process of the development and the process of the elevation of the soul of the man. I can do all the talking. If you don't practice, you never learn. I step down, I listen, I will not interfere unless I have to. And I sit here like a tutor, listening, and if it's need, I come in. I leave the table to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, is there any suggestions from our panelists how to proceed here? Some comments on what Mr. Keshe has presented, perhaps, or
good evening.
Hello?
Hello, Rick. It's me,
Hi.
Jalal.
Hi, Jalal.
I want to say two things, and then we will proceed with what Mr. Keshe said. First, I would like to thank Mr. Cash to remind us all the time to use the higher field of our soul, not the lowest of the matter. Second, I would like to send a song for Azhar. I did want to do it in the morning, but I couldn't. And this song, it's very beautiful. I like it. And nearly I know a little bit about the words, but not all of them. And it's about love. And this is from Gugush, and it says, I'm Oma Da'am. And this is when person fall in love. And I fall in love with this song since I heard it in the in the in the 70s. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other contributions here? We have Valentin would like to say something. We also have Alberto, both students that I can promote the panelists and we can hear from them.
What happened to the song?
I don't know if we were supposed to play a song. I think.
Do you want me to sing it?
Well, you would have to sing it because we can't just play copyrighted songs.
Okay. Okay.
What did you expect to do?
I only said the name.
I thought you were going to play it.
Okay. Wait a second. Wait a second.
Maybe you can hum a few bars.
I was a keyboard player before, but now there is no way. Okay. Mano madam, oi oi, mano madam, irishtuka. I don't know the names, but only the tone. Oh, oi oi, mano madam, oi madam, oi. That's all.
Thank you, Jalal. That was wonderful.
Thank you. That's excellent, actually. You're just getting us going there. Tease. Actually, music can be a great way to transfer some of these ideas that we're discussing here about how to elevate the soul and so on.
Good afternoon.
Can also be, okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Rick. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Mr. Keshe. Thank you very much for all the work, wonderful work you're doing. I just want to share that comment on what Mr. Keshe has told us. How if we hold a bullet in our hand and we become one with its energy, we can stop all bullets all over the world. I also want to expand that into those of us who have been in the military and have actually held weapons, or those of us who have worked with missiles, or if you worked with nuclear bombs, your body, once it has been in touch with it, remembers. So you don't actually have to touch it. The bullets I touched in my hand when I was in the military, my body remembers the energy. And just by remembering, I can now become one with the bullet or with whatever instrument of destruction that I was in touch with. I can become one with it and neutralize it, stop it. And that's just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Wait a minute. What do you mean by stop it or neutralize it? Could you describe a little more about what you mean by that? That sounds interesting.
Yes.
Like if you said first that you become one with the weapon, let's say, or the bullet, or is it the weapon, or is it the energy that's released from the weapon, or the bullet in effect? Which do you become one with?
When we touch a bullet, we're touching the energy of the bullet. We have our body, our amino acid has identified the energy in that bullet, and our amino acid can communicate with it at a very, very high level in the plasmatic state, and we can cancel the action of that bullet, is why I understand that Mr. Keshe has just said. And those of us who have, we don't need to have a bullet today because we've already touched the bullet in the past. And our soul remembers the energy of that bullet. And just by remembering what it felt like to hold that bullet, we can stop the bullet. We can stop it from going off. The same happens with all the weapons that we used to work with. By thinking of the weapon, the missile, the nuclear missile, whichever weapons we worked with in the past, we don't have to touch them anymore because our bodies remember. Our soul remembers. And so by thinking of how it felt to have it in our hands, how it felt to work with it, we can stop also those weapons. Am I making it clear?
Well, it was clear to Gear in the live stream chat, who says, very true. I remember the peculiar smell and touch it has. All military equipment have this. Thank you for pointing to this, he says.
You're very welcome. Thank Mr. Keshe.
So is it the visualization of that?
Can I come
thing?
in? Can
Certainly.
I speak if it's possible, please? You touched a very strange sense.
Please explain, Mr. Keshe.
Hello, Mr. Keshe? I think he dropped out a bit there, perhaps. Let's just wait a minute for him to come back in. Hello, Mr. Keshe. We can't hear you. I'm not sure if you can hear us.
It has something.
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yeah,
hear
we
me?
can hear you now.
Yeah, to switch. It has a. My emotion takes over because you touch something very, very deep inside me. I remember when I used to walk over nuclear reactors. You could smell. It's a smell we associate with fear. It's we associate it in so many ways with rot. It has a special smell. And many times I've thought, can I use this to stop all the nuclear weapons? Is the sense of the smell that deep? I know exactly what you're talking about. But when you walk into a control room of a nuclear reactor, is a sense of fear, and all nuclear physicists who work in this kind of thing have this. Somehow in the back of the mind of nuclear physicists, I'm sure it's about the weapon technology, launch people the same, is that if this goes, am I the first one to go with it? I remember I spoke with Dr. Shaw once about this. He said to me in so many ways, that's why I come to work drunk, that I don't have to have that fear. He was the head of Queen Mary College. He was in charge of the university nuclear reactor. And he was my master, he was my teacher. And then in that point I understood why he used. Why this teacher of mine used to turn up drunk 99% of the mornings of the week. It has a smell, it has a fingerprint. But can we go back to our soul and silence these things through our soul? You touched something very, very deep inside. I've thought about this many, many times. I think I was lucky and never came across a nuclear weapon. As a civilian nuclear physicist, it's a pleasure I had, and I always thank God I never had to be near these things. But can we use them if you are military guys? Can we lock into you that through your souls you can change the souls of the man who handle these things? Because it needs a special man, a special strength to do so. When there is no man to launch walking away, it takes a long time to train a nuclear launch engineer or anything, soldier. And there is a fear. And a lot of them talk big, but they sit there, they know if it goes off prematurely, they're the first one to go. We've seen them with the controllers of Fukushima. We've seen it directly with Chernobyl. They walk high, they talk tall, but they're so fearful inside. I've seen my own master from the fear going to alcoholism.
Mr. Keshe, he's from the Netherlands. He mentions we had a military exercise with an American group. Their smell was totally different than ours. It was much heavier.
Maybe they didn't wash their clothes that much.
That could have something to do with it.
Americans always do that. I've been close with the American military too long. From my childhood, I remember they have a very nasty smell. Soldiers are very strange. I watched at the young age, when the American military people were getting extracted out of Vietnam. And as part of our life, we came very close in touch with them. They came the animal behavior of the Vietnam with them to Iran. And I never understood why man should be so aggressive as a young age. We watched them. The strange thing why they left an impression on us was that these people came with all their ammunition, with their families, the way they used to wear or whatever, a high ranking in Vietnam and the Far East. running operation of the Americans to bomb the Vietnamese. And then they brought them, they couldn't take all of them back to America in one go, so they spread them across the Middle East, some came to Iran. And they brought that animal behavior with them. Dressed up still in military form, shooting people in their kitchens while they were cooking. And Iranian nation has to pay what they call wild behavior. They used to get double pay because the Iranians were wild, but in fact, we saw nothing but more violence than anything else than these people. They had this smell on them. And in so many ways, what we saw in the later time was the smell, that what they brought with them and what they left behind. But can we use the emotion, the feel, the strength of the feel we had? Especially, I carry that. I always carried it because I had to see through the fear of my eyes of my own master. Can we use that to reach the soldiers who are in charge of nuclear weapons and elevate their soul that they just woke up? They are very proud people, but inside they have this fear all the time, and that fear has a strength. Sorry about that. I'll leave it with you.
All right. Okay, any further comments from our panelists? If you're an attendee, you could write your a question or comment in the either the chat or preferably the Q&A. We'll have a look at it.
Valentin is here. May I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. This is Valentin Rozman from Slovenia. I would like to give some perspectives about the points that have been shared in the first session of this day, and also from the previous sessions. Maybe I should share some personal experience from my life. Here in Slovenia, we are also the territory that has been suffering the violence of the world wars. Germans occupied our land, and my grandfather was put in concentration camp. Luckily, he survived, but he hated Catholic Church for collaboration with invaders. So in our family, we were not allowed to go to church or be part of any religion. So I agree that religions, especially Roman Catholic Church, is part of the problem that is not assisting with peace. But there are even more prominent religions than religions that we know as big religions, because the biggest religion that we have on this world is the religion of money. We all have belief that we cannot survive without money, and this is deeply anchored belief that creates fear within all of us. And the group where I am also part of has researched this connection with money and has created the interview series that is called The Soul of Money, when everyone can get the deep insights about this problem. So we need to create some solution in form of money or some exchange system that would support everyone equally. And we have also started to propose some solution. One is called equal money system. And this is one of the 3 books that I'm now sharing the links in the chat window so everyone can see them. And there was a proposition to create a system of management of all global resources so that not only humans will be provided with all the necessities, but that we also treat other living beings as equal and provide the necessary living conditions also for all the animals and plants. Then about the animals, the humans look at the animals as some living form that is lower than us, that is because they cannot talk, we think that we are the most advanced living form on this planet. However, this group has also researched how the animals understand how they see themselves and this world, what is their function, and how they see human beings. So there is also available the interview series through the interdimensional portal titled Animals Life Review. And I'm also sharing now the link. The point is that, as explained in these interviews, of course, this is not something that I can confirm. This is just information that I have studied from. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but the consistency of this information for 7 years has been the most commonsensical among all the resources that I have studied from on this planet. So what animals have shared, that they are completely aware of their physical bodies. They communicate with every cell of their physical body. And when they pick their food, some animals, or most animals, have very special sense, like a vision, like an X-ray vision. So the animals can see the content of the food, the minerals, the energies, and so on. So they are very specific about what kind of food they take in, so that they will support their physical body. And also, when they pick their parents to mate, they are also very specific. They see the many dimensions about how compatible their partner will be in order to produce healthy offspring. This is also why animals are so resistant to their environment. They are very in healthy state. they do not get so sick like humans do. And why there is such difference between animals and humans is, like explained in these interviews, that animals have total different history of evolution than human beings. That human bodies have different history of evolution. They have been created, designed by different beings, programmed, and so on. And we have also been limited with so-called the mind or mind consciousness system. So the humans have less access to our physical body, to our physicality. Because we were designed to function as a battery to produce energy of emotions that was channeled to certain spiritual worlds where certain beings have created different planes of existence from these energies. So the best analogy is explained in the movie Matrix. So it is explained here more in detail how this was created. The next point that I would like to talk about is the general point of the energy and why the humans are so violent. There is an explanation from Bernard Pullman's short interview that I'm going to share the link to the playlist. It is titled Problems of Energy. It talks like there is also similar explanation in spiritual books of creation, where it is described that in the beginning there was darkness, and then the light came.
Excuse me, can I ask you where you're taking us with this, because I don't understand.
I would like to point out the solutions to the problems that we currently experience in terms of violence and how to understand our behavior and how we can direct ourselves to stop violent behavior.
Can you, if you can enlighten us, because you are going somewhere we don't understand, and I don't want to be rude to stop you, but if there is no, we don't see any, I have to ask you to stop.
Yeah, I'm sharing a lot of things very fast. I understand. This is why I suggest for the ones who want to go deep in this information to check the links and study the original material.
Yeah, but what are we learning from your sharing of knowledge?
Yeah, there are different approaches to understanding.
Valentine, this is Azar. Can I say something, please?
Yeah.
You see, when we go back, I mean, all the stuff you're explaining, you see, for years and years, I was looking for answer, because I would see a lot of things that wouldn't make sense to me. But at that point, I never trusted my own insight, what was coming from me. So I always went and I looked for answer other people's. I've done so many different things. I even got into shamanism. I have done ayahuasca. I have done iboga. I have done wachuma, and so on and so on. What has happened is this: like, I look at the humanity, I mean, from a long time ago, and everything wasn't making sense to me. Like, I ask people, why do you do this? They say, oh, because it's the law. And I always wondered, who made the law? Somebody like me made the law. Why is it the law, as if the law of God? And then at that point, I didn't know that I don't have to follow any laws. The only law exists is the law of the Creator. Law of the Creator says, I mean, at least my understanding is, don't hurt anybody, don't take from anybody, help people if they need help on your path, and be always mindful. And that was my law. And then a lot of things didn't make sense, but what you're saying to us is,
Hello?
Hello?
I think she didn't have much to say.
May I continue?
Yes, please, but this is getting us nowhere. Sorry to say that, I don't understand. Maybe we can come back to other time. There is a decision made by the management team. We are targeting in one place, in one direction, and we try to keep it that way. We understand what you're trying to tell us, but it has to be very clear.
Mr. Keshe, I just got disconnected.
Yes, carry on, please.
So what has happened is this. Now we have something that what Mr. Keshe is explaining. Each of us has our own essence, and when we think about ourselves, what is the reason we say, "Oh, this is correct"? Or if somebody doesn't accept what we say, is it our ego getting injured that nobody's accepted? Because each of us have our own essence. If we just tune into it and follow that, I think the peace starts with ourselves. Once I have peace in me and then I treat other people with peacefulness, that actually has a ripple effect. The thoughts have vibration, words have vibration, everything has vibration. If we pay attention to our thoughts and our behavior, we actually have that's why I can actually affect so many people in so many levels just with my thought. And I've tried it. And I remember one day I sat, that's the time I didn't even know about Mr. Keshe's knowledge. I sat in my office. I was working on a patient. My assistant was sitting in front of me. We were working. I said to myself, let me see how much I can make my assistant aggravated just with my emotions. And at the end of 1 hour, my assistant was totally aggravated. And I just did a test. And then with the same power, we can make people either peaceful or aggravated or angry, and everything comes from us. And the peace, for example, for years and years, I also had these images in my mind. It wasn't an image. Sometimes, a lot of time actually when I go to sleep, I have it, and now I trust it more and more. That's my essence, is nobody else's. Like, for example, I'm roaming the earth, and what I see, I see myself the gatekeeper of the peace. And I always wonder, why am I a gatekeeper of the peace? And this is not something new. And sometimes certain music I hear, suddenly I see myself as a gatekeeper of the peace. And this is something that it happened from 15 years ago. And suddenly now we talk about peace. A peace, something that was in my heart and in my soul from a long, long time ago, when I was 7 years old. 7 years old, I started thinking about poor people. I wanted to help people, especially children who have no money, no food. So I think we more have to trust our own self, get in touch with our soul. And I don't know how can I do it, how you can do it, but I don't think it's out there. It's inside of us. I don't think there is any technique for it. I don't know if I'm right or not, but that's my insight. And what you're telling us, I think, is something I would have done 10 years ago when I was in kindergarten, maybe in that knowledge. But I feel I'm more in a graduate school, what Mr. Keshe is teaching me to do it.
Yeah, I wanted to explain the same thing that you are now explaining, that there is no difference between our insights, what is within ourselves, and what is outside of ourselves. because everything outside is the projection of who we are. The story of existence and the problems that we experienced is like this, that in the beginning was the substance, the matter, and it was dark. And then this matter became excited, irritated. We created conflict within ourselves. And this conflict created light. And the light that we started to see, we perceived it as something outside of us and far from ourselves. But it enticed curiosity within ourselves. We wanted to get to the light, to see what this light was. And the more we wanted to reach towards this light, the more we separated ourselves from ourselves. So this is the beginning of the separation in the existence. Why am I saying this? Because the New Age movement is mostly saying we need to increase our vibration. We need to go towards the light. But what is the light? The light is manifestation of the separation of ourselves. So the more we struggle for the light, the more we separate ourselves from who we are, because we do not understand that the light is our creation. So this is the core reason for all the conflict and destruction. This desire to reach the light, but it cannot be reached. It can be only understood that it is our own creation. So the path towards the peace is going back to ourselves, back to the substance. And the light is manifested in our physical bodies as emotions.
Excuse me, somebody's got a system on, it's like a sucking machine. Can you switch off? It's back on again.
So the emotions that we experience is the manifestation of this light.
Valentine, do you love yourself?
We do not use the word love because people have different.
Can I come to something? What do you mean by use? Are you a member of what they call one of these light organizations?
We distinguish specifically.
No. I want to ask a question. Are you a member of these people who are a light group, or you call yourself member of lights or whatever?
No.
Huh.
No, I'm not.
Oh, wait, 1 second, please. I'm receiving on my security something about you. I have to check.
Yeah.
You have to stand by, please, because otherwise.
Valentine, if you don't love yourself, how can you share love then? I have to ask you to stop, please, because we, as I said, we are monitoring a lot of things. My security announces me, or they send me information. I have to ask, we have to pass this, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much for sharing knowledge with us. Thank you very much.
Mr. Keshe, my brother Hassan has a question.
Yes, Tanya, I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm listening. You have to discuss yourself. Elevate each other's soul, please.
Rick, can you please allow Hassan to come and talk, please?
Oh, okay. Hassan, do you want to open your microphone there? You should be able to talk now.
Yes, I open a microphone. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, everybody. Something that I have observed, I know that the problem is in physicality. Earth was a nursery for souls. So as a nursery, why man has been so violent for thousands of years? If the earth was created as a nursery, was it something that the creator miscalculated? And if it is so, now are we coming with a solution? Which solution is, how can we get rid of physicality and be more of a soul? Is that's what we're achieving?
Okay, is there any comments or ideas about that?
Yes, good morning, Hassan. This is Alberto from the United States. The reason why man is so violent is because our ancestors chose to be very, very physical in the past when we were beginning, when the amino acid was first put together, as evolution took different paths, many different paths. And one of them is the one we chose. And we chose very, very much to focus on physicality and in the stealing of energies that were easily accessible by killing and stealing. So this is our own doing. And the teachings that have come to us now, these teachings from Mr. Keshe, are exactly what we need to overcome this bad decision that our ancestors have made in the past. So yes, this is the freedom from physicality that you were speaking about, these teachings that we're listening to. Okay, next.
But also, you see, God is love, Creator is love, and our soul is love. So our soul is peaceful. And but why we chose to take the other route? So there must have been something that's in the physicality in the earth. To me, it seems it was not calculated, and it's an accident. I think that there is the only way that they are doing is trying to move us from physicality, which we're elevating our souls, coming to another dimension in a way, in order to correct this. And that would be the new beginning. That is my understanding.
Well, you see, humanity is not the ruling majority on this planet. There are so many other species that outnumber us. The plants, for example, the plants chose the peaceful way, most of them anyway, have chosen the peaceful way. They stopped stealing. They absorb energy from the atmosphere, from the ambient, from everything that's around them. This is our goal too. This is what we have to learn from the plants. So, mistake? No, it was choice. It was a bad choice that our ancestors made. Go ahead.
Actually, nothing is a bad choice.
You may be right, yes.
Well, my choice is peace. I mean, my action is peace, and I saw many people here that we have chosen a different route, even though we're living in this physicality. What is the difference between us and them? Why are we different?
We're not different. We choose to. We talk about it, we know about it, but we choose to. How come?
So what path did we take? Was it a DNA? Was it in a gene that we are different than the rest?
You understand? You understand? You already carry it. Not to be violent, not to be, be peaceful. No matter what. When you know it, but if you're gonna do the same, so there is no argument about that.
Yeah, I understand. You see, most of us, 7 billion, I would say probably, 6 million of us are in peaceful. We can be from different religion and race, can sit down and share a meal, and we never talk about the difference in religion. And I have sat among Jews, Christians, and we never, talk about religion, and we shared and we enjoyed our company. But the only a small number, and I remember Mr. Keshe says, I can raise a finger and I can have all the soldiers drop the guns and not knowing why they're carrying it. So why don't we do that? I mean, why Mr. Keshe, who access his soul, make a change that at least would be catalyst for us to go on a different path and be able to educate the others to go on a peaceful way. Yes, I became peaceful because of an education, because I learned not to take, and I'm here only to give. So why can't we do that?
What about we continue to educate? What about we continue to educate from first day when our kids are born? Then you will see totally different effect. I have 2 kids. From young ages, educate them,
Well, the point is now we are at a critical situation that, world is getting into a mayhem, and we may have a war, and we can see the killings and so forth. So I think maybe this is, take precedence that we may need something, a doses of a elevation of other souls. And I do understand as we are elevating, we can elevate other souls. And, I try to, in my path, to elevate any soul that it come to my path and also be elevated by others. But I think at some point, we may need a kind of a dose of a complex vitamin of some sort of an elevation for those that are basically manipulating and creating mayhem, for them to be elevated, for the others to be elevated. I mean, in a way, I see we are elevating, we are changing, and we're much better than before, because I see it in my community and people that I talk to. But I think at this critical juncture, we may need something sooner than later.
Excuse me, Armin, can I get you to mute when you're not speaking? It sounds like there's someone snoring in the background. Thank you.
If Mr. Keshe went ahead and stopped everything, all the weapons and all the wars, with just moving his finger, what would humanity learn? What would our souls learn? It would just be a magic trick.
Nothing. Nothing. You exactly put your finger on it. Nothing. They haven't learned from 50 million plus killing, more, nearly 100 million killing in the past century dated today. Has he stopped? No. Exactly, that's the point. Man has not learned. What's the use of bringing another magic on?
But also,
man never do the thing himself. He always waits for somebody else to do it for him. Not this time.
But also, I see the man, for what they acquired, what they have, they don't want to lose what they have. So they would take in a resistance path, not to be elevated. I mean, I thought about it, and many people, because of the sharing and giving, they will not do it because they lose what they have and they want to keep their status. The only thing that I thought would bring man closer to each other and be more compassionate would be a disaster, something that comes from nature and man realizes.
Why don't we
But
do the other
why
way?
with the
It could
pain?
be a pleasurable thing. It could be a fantastic thing.
Why with the
Why
pain?
should it be a disaster? Why don't we make it a beautiful thing happen to man?
Because
Why do we have to learn
this is
from
what
disasters? Why
learn.
misery has to be part of it all the time?
My experience is whenever I saw a flood or something in my area, then people came to help each other and then they're giving. But when it's a good
Yeah,
thing,
and then they forget about it because it's in their brain to forget about it. That's it. We help in case something happened to us, they help us. The situation is
why? Because it
where
came
I'm
from
gonna go. Pardon?
it
Pardon?
came from the pain. That's why they forget about it. I said it
Maybe
came
you're
from
right.
the pain. That's why.
Maybe you're right, Armanja.
Because pleasure will never forgettable. It's always there.
Mr. Keshe,
It's not joy.
what kind of a pleasure can bring man together? What kind of a pleasure?
Love. Armor knows and people around me, I love loving. And this has been the cause of my problem. Because people see something wrong in loving people. And I don't understand it. I haven't managed to understand it for past decades. I never understand it. It's a crime to love with humanity. Why? Why is it something wrong to love? Means to give. Why? Why are we afraid of loving? And what it is, what's the problem loving so many people that we don't know?
well,
Why are
because
we afraid? This is one of the biggest problems for me for a long time. Why people are afraid to love each other, to love whatever it is.
Because man learned to love conditionally, not unconditionally. And they're all saying, if
Who
I
says that? How many times have you been in love, Kayvon?
It's not
We
the
never
Kayvon.
condition, love on condition. No, when you love, that's it.
Mr. Keshe, this is Hassan, my brother.
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
like Kayvon.
but that's
Oh,
true.
Hassan, yeah.
But
We can love unconditionally. How many times have you fallen in love? You're a Persian, you know, we live on the land of love. Without love, we don't exist.
That's true. I agree with you.
So what's the problem? Why can't we enjoy being in love? Why should be something wrong with loving people?
Well, I do. I have changed people by loving them and unconditionally, and I changed them, and they have been rude to me, but keep loving them, because when you love even your enemy, I have changed them now. They love me the same way. But the only thing is,
Listen, good job. Ayatollahs don't listen to you, huh? They have a big problem.
but how can we change the other people? I mean, give me 1,000,000 years, I will do it. But in a short life in physicality,
It's so easy. It's so easy. In the physicality of life, it's so easy to love. Nothing has been created easier than loving and changing people with love. You know, when I moved to England, I was a young boy, and so many times in 1970s, I met so many women in their 70s, in their 80s, and they're not married. And I asked them, because England is a nice place to speak to people. And I asked them something very strange all the time. And a few of them gave me an answer, which up to today, now I understand at my age what it means. It's taken me 40 years to understand a woman 70 years ago, or 40 years ago. And that was, they fell in love with an American soldier or something, or a man, Englishman, and he died in the war. He never came back. And to them, he was irrelevant. They did not want to have or live because they fell in love donkeys years ago when it was the Second World War. And now I understand what it means. I can clearly associate myself with that kind of love because now I understand how deep it can be and how people give their life for being in love once upon a time, years ago, for 1 second or 1 day, and even if they saw the guy off the road. It's so easy to touch people. Never been so easy than this. We make it difficult. I love to understand what is our problem, where we go wrong with the humanity, where he sees him and loving as a turn off, as a point of problem.
Mr. Keshe, why do we get divorced?
Why? Because of many reasons, of many, many reasons. Betrayal. We have no more status to each other. We run out of talking, or is not what we thought. You don't tell me, I do not know, but how far can we go?
But the first time we fell in love, we thought we were in love, we got married, then we get divorced. I mean, at least it happened to me. I don't know if you got divorced also, but
oh yeah, I got divorced after 19 years of marriage. Yeah, that's
but
that goes in a different direction. You don't want to know. I gave up on a lot of things in that divorce. I found out a lot of truth about women in that divorce. Don't tell me anymore.
So were you in love the first time?
Don't know. That I haven't found an answer to. And really, no. And really, you know, we come of a background in the Iranian culture. Marriages has to be approved by the parents or whatever. And we fall in that trap. Did I fall in love the second time? I went crazy. I was still crazy with it.
I understand, because I got married when I was 17 and I was very young, so I wasn't really in love.
Yeah, but it's the way it happens with us. But if you tell me I love my wife, I adore people around me. No, I worship my wife. When my father saw my second wife, said, "You stupid man, where have you found this one from?" Everybody loves it. So it's how we see it, how we perceive it. We have to understand our own problems. Where do we go? Why do we do these things with ourselves? But what do we call love? Why do we accept so much from love? Why do we tolerate so much when we love somebody? Huh? I have never found an answer to it, but a lot of people tell me, when you love somebody, how can you fall in love with somebody else? Because it's in my name, Mehran. I'm possessed of love. I give it freely. You know what it means. But to what extent do we accept it? Why can't we love everything and everybody?
Hello, this is Heather from USA. Would enjoy joining this discussion, if that's okay.
No, we don't let you. Wherever you go, you carry on, you take over. Yes, Heather, carry on.
Well, just many things coming up for me when you ask, you know, why is so difficult to love, and that the concept that, you know, being able to elevate the souls on this planet that have been involved in the various systems that we'd rather not experience any longer, you know, how can we be in a space of being able to truly provide that
I'm going to ask you
for them.
something, Heather. Have you ever been in love?
Yes, I'm in love with myself,
Oh.
and I'm in love with humanity.
No. Okay, have you been in love with another creature, a dog, a cat?
Oh, yes. Mostly nature and a few humans. Actually, all humans. I can find a space, I think. I'm getting to that place where I can love just anything, no matter what it presents itself as. It's perfect.
A chair, a table?
Yeah, rocks. Even the murderers and the pedophiles and the people that perpetuate the systems. I've gotten to a place where I'm not loving them out of you know, judgment of saying, oh, that's wrong and I need to love you because I'm better than you. I'm loving them out of a space of you know, there's a purpose for everything, and they wouldn't be in that live stream unless it was fulfilling something for their own soul, as well as mine, giving me a chance to look at those things that I've judged as wrong and being able to shift within myself whatever is useful to come to a place of being able to love all of it. So to me, that's...
Have you ever had to forgive? Have any of us had to forgive in a love relationship?
Well, to me, the concept of...
We see it as part of, by loving, we can forget.
Right. Forget is good. And forgive, to me, the concept of forgiving, if I'm forgiving someone for doing something to me, I'm still judging that as an action or as incident that wasn't perfect for me in some way. So I don't tend to go into the concept of forgiving. It's just like, oh, it's just acceptance. It's like, okay, well, that was purposeful for both of us for whatever it was. And we can be okay with that and move on.
Okay, if you can do that, I'm going to ask you a very difficult question, but very easy to answer, I hope.
Okay.
If you can do that, what effort do you put in that love relationship?
What effort?
What do you need to do to justify or say, okay, I have found a shortcut?
I'm not sure what you're asking me.
I'm asking you, you said I can even, what do you call it? Love a criminal.
Okay. And what is my action in that relationship? Is that what you're asking? Did we lose the audio?
I think lost it.
Well, what I know is that I'm not going to transcend or transmute any experience until I do come to a place of love with it. So, yeah, so that, you know, prompts you to say, okay, well, there's things in life where you say, gosh, I could never love that. That's horrible. So then you would give yourself experiences, kind of a graduation of experiences. You know, you start with something cute and cuddly like a kitten, and of course you can love that. But, you know, can you love the ugly kitten that doesn't have, you know, a tail or fur, you know, or can you love the person that ran over the kitten, you know, as much as you love the kitten that got run over? And you give yourself a graduation of those experiences through life so that you can, my concept, so that you can come to a space of loving it all. And once you, if you want to call that love, accepting it all, then you would have less of those experiences possibly come into your life because you no longer are polarized against them or requiring them for your soul evolution. So I don't know if that answered the question. And I know if I'm in a space of judging something as being incorrect or not right, it's, you know, feeling sorry for them or feeling like what they're doing is wrong. Or I see the homeless man on the corner, I think, oh, I need to help them because they're in a bad place and they're...
No. Well, I'm going to rephrase it. Maybe it's easier.
Okay.
Is how do you reach them? What do you think by what you do, you understand them or whatever?
How do I reach?
How can you reach? Yeah. And what do you think, what effect you make in their life? Or can you change them?
Well,
or it's just something fashionable to do and talk. This is what we're trying to understand.
I guess my, you know, like what would be my purpose, like for say, if we were going to try to say, you know, transmute some system that we would rather not experience on this planet, my perspective at this moment, because it always changes, you always expand our perspective, but at this moment would be that by not really sending them love, but kind of being in a space of love and acceptance with that entity, that it would give them a potential energetically to fill some of the spaces within them that are either
is
able
that
to
you feel generous in doing this? Does it give you a sense of satisfaction? You're feeling this way?
Not satisfaction in that I'm trying to heal or fix people, because I'm not. I spent many years in that one, but I don't know that there's really a feeling that goes with it, other than just kind of what I would consider love. And there's no desire to change them. You know, it's that to me, that's even judgment, is desiring for them to change. So it's just an offering. It's just a space of potential.
You know what I'm trying to understand? How did you get to that point? What does it do for you? Can you go back to the same point of satisfaction? Does it give you something to be satisfied with? And if it does, and you felt the sensation, can you repeat it again without somebody being there that you need to help? You know, this is the energy, this is what I felt when I did this, and they gave me such a feeling, and this way I can reach the soldier now, because I managed to satisfy somebody with that feeling. I can repeat it, because this is what we got to do.
Yeah. Okay, I see that as an evolution of the process. Is no longer trying to be triggered by or of assistance to something, you know, quote unquote, outside of me, but being able to be within that peace space within myself without having to have an outside trigger for it.
Okay, so we have to it's very much what I call is a recipe. You know, you go to a cake shop and you buy cake, and you go back to the same cake shop and you get the same recipe. The same, that's why we go to it, because it gives us that pleasure that we get the same thing repeated. Can we find a recipe for that emotion that we can give to people, that it gives them the satisfaction and us to bring a change about? This is one of the most fundamental points in the whole structure in what we're talking about. Can we repeat that pleasure which we felt, because it's us who's the giver, that we can repeat it again and again and get the same satisfaction?
Well, I suppose like any other experience, you can call up the experience, and that is calling up the emotion.
Yeah, but can we repeat that emotion? This is what I want trying to find out. What happens? You see, there's a lot of talking going on. We could say what we feel, but what is important for us? can we find in all these talks we try to create the same thing to repeat itself again and again? This is the feel, this is the strength of a soldier when I can satisfy it, and what it does, he will stop firing. I can satisfy a president with this and he stops killing.
Yeah.
This is what we are after. This is what we want to understand, that we actually can do that. We can make a change. And then I can come to tell you, if you do such a thing, the guy will not kill. So that's my recipe. How do I feel? You know, you go to a drama school and the drama teacher can explain to you exactly what you have to do to cry. When the director tells you cry, you just break like a God knows swimming pool up. Yeah? So what we're trying to do is to understand, a lot of us explain our emotion because we feel it, we have felt it, we know what we are talking about, but now we want to put a measure to it. We say man has become killer machine and skills. Now we want to change that killing habit. Where do we go? Which one of us, who here, and maybe to come back to those who listen later on, to tell us that yes, this is the feeling of killing, this is the feeling of whatever, and I want to be able to change it. I want to be able to tell you and you follow it, and this is exactly what's going to happen to the guy. And I'll follow it. I make your recipe and I work on it, and yes, it does work. The guy forgets the gun. We want to start measuring the feeling measurement, that all of us can follow that recipe. Because in China, there are 100 million soldiers. How am I going to get to 100 million? God help. In India, is what? So we need this understanding of feeling, measurement of the feeling, that we can teach the others.
Well, to me, it's if it's okay, I just was thinking that if you're particularly talking about in the soldier situation, if I would bring that person up in my thoughts, or a particular one, and be able to be in a space of...
We don't know him. His name is Mr. Chang Chung.
Okay, well, it doesn't, it's an archetype, it's a type of a being and a type of an experience, so there's a template for it on this planet. So I could bring that up and say, okay, I'm going to love and accept every part of me that is either has ever been part of that system or is in reaction to that system. And by doing that, there's that kind of give and take field going on where, yes, I'm loving that. I'm also loving it within myself. I'm not judging it. I'm just trying to bring it all to that point of balance. Like you always say, that, you know, the stronger feeds the weaker, but not the weaker in a sense that it's any less than, just that it's needs
no,
balance.
What we're trying to find out. I said I stay out of discussions, but we
oh, it's useful, so useful.
But we're trying to find a measurement for our feeling. We're trying to find an access point for our feeling, where we can say to the others, this is what I did, this is what I reached, this is how, as I said, you go to an actress, the school, and they tell you exactly what you got to do to cry, and everybody does it, and we don't understand how they make it real. That when we watch that movie, it gives us the feeling, yes, we receive the feeling. She's upset, she's crying because his love is gone. Okay? Now, if we can do that, if we go to a school to learn how to do this, therefore, the man has already found the secret of it. What is the secret? What do I have to do to know that feeling? Somebody's microphone is open, please. What do I have to do to give that feeling that I give it and they cry? So I can give it to a soldier, I don't know where it is, he stops firing. This is what we're trying to find out. We're trying to find the strength of a gun, the strength of what takes a man to carry a gun. A lot of soldiers carry guns, but they don't mean to kill, but they have to be there because otherwise they have no other way to feed their family. Half of the military armaments are, half of the soldiers are there because they have no income. Army is the only way they can feed their children. I have a son in the army. I have a son in military. He goes there because he loves to be in the uniform. It gives him identity of discipline. But he signed himself, I will not carry a gun. He has to for his protection, but he has signed himself, I will not carry a gun.
Is one of the keys basically kind of becoming that that entity that you're wishing to support, and then in that becoming love yourself in that state and feel what needs to be filled to come to the point of balance? Because to me the access point is balance.
I don't know. I'm looking as you are telling us, I'm looking for that magic feeling. That magic feeling that I can give to a soldier and soldier forgets to fire. It has a code, it has a number, it has an identity. And this is what I need to understand. Can somebody, I came into a discussion, for what reason? I came into the discussion because it brought the understanding of, I could feel, the gentleman spoke about something to me was so close, I felt it. So I want to know, where can somebody tell us? If you want, I can show it to you. You can all test it, but you never know it because it didn't work on it. Can someone tell us what is the strength of the feeling?
Would it be like the love of creator, the love of universe coming through you to balance that being, not even through you, but once you become that other person energetically, and then allowing source to balance that? You mean you don't have to be the one to direct it. You don't have to know what's wrong with them. You know that the universe is capable of balancing that being, and you know, you maybe are just a witness to that, or a conduit for it, or a space that allows that to come in for you both.
You are, I don't know. We need to find these. This is our problem. We need to find this mystery, this little thing which we haven't found out. We need to find. We need to find what it is. What is the strength of it? What causes us to kill? How? What? We don't need to kill, but we have to carry a gun, because if we don't do, we don't get paid. I have nothing. I'm a soldier because I have to feed myself. I see many of them. Many soldiers are in the army because that's the only way they can put the food on the table. Or do we have to elevate the soul of the bosses, or the guys who would like to be the bosses, that we see it, we can do it, we can change it for them? I want to know, what is the frequency, as you call it, in the matter state of not killing?
The frequency of what?
Not to kill. not to carry on. What feeling do I have to create that the man believes or understands he does not to kill, he does no need to kill anymore. He doesn't. If you have a gun, you have to have a use of it. Why don't we go to the origin of the guys who actually make the bombs and rockets and the rest of them, and play havoc with their soul? Elevate their soul that they do not know where it came from. And or can we ask for elevation of the soul of the man by the others? But they won't learn it. It's in the DNA of the man. How many times we stopped wars? We create a structure called United Nations to guarantee peace, and through it we killed more. No organization has ever been established to kill legally than the United Nations. You say we don't learn. We have to change something in the structure of the body of the man, that the man becomes a peaceful man. Now, I go back again and again to the same thing. What is that strength that we have to do? What do we have to do to change the soul of the man? And I have this dilemma on a daily basis.
Well, we all assume you have the answer. You're just hoping that we'll come up with it for ourselves.
You don't know how much answer I have.
Yes.
You don't want to know how much answer I have, but it doesn't solve the problem. We didn't do the last time, huh? We gave them a nation. It has to come through the human. We gave them a nation of their own, and they killed more in the name of God. What the Jews have done. Huh? We gave them a nation after 1,000 years of no man land, no man less, and you see what they did. They killed more. And then they elect somebody who's more promising of more killing and more harm. Where the heck is the sense in it? Why don't we learn? Because it's ingrained in our structure. It's ingrained in the DNA, which is part of its RNA, and is affected literally and literally by nothing but what we call unbalance in the structure of the entity. Something is missing in the structure of the humanity, and on this planet, not just humanity. Dogs kill, cats kill. This is a killing field. Everybody, even the animals, have found solution by killing.
Mr. Keshe?
Yes.
Hello, it's Caroline. If I remember correctly, you...
There it is, the love of my life. There she is. Do you know how long it takes me to convince her I love her? I said, you tell me so many times you lost this sense. There we are. How can I transfer the love for this woman to the rest of the humanity? And so I go and love something else. Says, why do you love something else? Well, you have to love me because you don't tell me you love me. I found the frequency of love, but my love doesn't talk. So I go and get the dog. Yeah, you laugh. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I express my love in different ways.
Yes.
All over
that
the world.
To express, but that's your problem, huh?
But it's your problem.
But put it this way, we have to be able. Yes, a laugh. That laugh has killed me for past 27 years. So carry on. So, what it is? How can I transfer the love I have for this woman? You hear it as a voice, and give it to somebody else, and still understand Every woman feels the way I feel, fall in love with this woman. I can transfer it to a soldier that he falls in love with life and he will not damage life. I can transfer it to a cat that he falls in love with me and he won't do any harm. He won't touch a mouse. This is the problem.
Yeah, but you've been teaching something, and that is that
Hasn't been that, does it?
that planet, this planet, has only 20% shortage of energy, and we are all trying to balance that not being present of the 20%. And you explained in that part of the teaching that we, as in totality, we can balance that 20% so that the planet can shift in its totality. I mean, that every single
Listen, Carol, stop.
Or you have to explain
all
again.
the talks. Or stop. You out of all the discussions, you have touched so close on the nerve that it hurts. Let me explain why. You just mentioned it, and you're the first one who has picked on it. We take...
No, I just connect to your...
No, wait. We take 80% of our energy from the environment of the universe. We call it atmosphere of the Earth, which is part of the universe. And we do no harm with it. We take it as we need it. We don't need it, we feed it back. Is that 20%, which is with all the animals the same, has created this mayhem? How can we learn from that 20%, that 80%, to replace this 20%, and we stop killing? It's that 20% which has brought us so much misery, and it's the same with all the animals. How can we go back and is that 20% has brought us mayhem? What do we do to get that 20% not needed, that we don't kill for it anymore? Why can't we find a way that we get the other, that 20% from the rest of the universe that allows us to be normal? That's the trick. We have learned how to take the 80%, but we have forgotten the other 20%. The other, what I call 80%. Why can't we learn to use that 20%? Exactly get it from where we had the 80% from.
Mr. Keshe, we should stop eating them?
I don't know. You have to tell me. You have to tell me.
You explained in that teaching how to get it, how to do it. It was in the teaching.
Okay, tell us. We didn't understand. I know what I taught, but you tell us, because apparently the others didn't hear. You have a very special ear. Come on, explain to us. We have to understand.
I can connect this part to what has been floating around as questions, but I remember that you taught us that this planet is only short 20%. But if I remember correctly, it came very clear into the councils, in the Universal Council teachings, that when we reach a certain amount of people and we all go in the same direction, we can balance this field on this planet. We can balance provide the 20% which is short. But I cannot recall clearly exactly how you explained it. I'm sorry on that.
So go to the recording.
But if I remember and I bring it back to you that I remember that part, why don't you explain to us? Because it will take me maybe half an hour and an hour to go and search every detail about it. And most probably a lot of knowledge have not even cannot recall, but I have like a kind of a memory. I can connect certain talks in certain questions and remembering the part where it is, but I cannot remember the totality. I just know that you have the link because you taught it, but I cannot recall everything from it. And secondly, I prefer not to talk what I understood or what I gathered from or what I remember, because I want you please to do it, because then it's correct 100%.
Oh my God, she's at it again. What
Perfect.
do I have to do with that? I have a very easy way life, and my life is I teach through the essence of the creation. If you understand, if you go back into everything we have taught, everything we've done from the beginning, there's a simple answer. And the answer to all the work, what man has done to himself, comes from one point. It comes from point of greed. It comes from point I have and I keep and I take and it's my right to take. This problem of life on this planet, it has in its memory a default, and that default is my right to have. We know a person around the foundation always used to say, how come everything has to be given by the Keshe Foundation? Has to be free. And no other organization. We have become a theft, and the only thing we need to become better thief at it is somebody to announce, I'm giving it free. A dog gives its life free. A fish gives its life free. And we think it's our right to take it. What does it satisfy when we take a life? Why does a soldier, a head of an army, has to make an enemy that he has to kill? That killing has a resonance, has a measure. It satisfies part of emotion. Those who don't agree with it, we've seen it in Vietnam War. They take off, they disappear, because none of it makes sense to them. But those who with them makes strength, they go and actually do the job for the guy, because in a way, it has a completion for them. It has a totality for them. It has a sense that I belong to something. This sense of belonging has been the biggest problem for man. And it has a strength. And every nation, every stock religion uses it. I've called it the strength of belonging. Identifying by belonging, I can prove I exist. If you increase the level of what we call, when we want to belong, it means we need attention, because in that group we get attention. The deficiency in what we call omega-3 is one of the major problems in this country. Major problems. Major problems for human race. Essence, the feeling that I own, and through it, I belong, and that satisfies a specific field strength.
Mr. Keshe, this is Heather. Oh, I apologize. I had a thought about that.
No, this is where the problem is. Because with belonging, I can confirm I exist. I am understood, and I can do what I like then in that society. Armies work on it. Institutions work on it. And that gives us a sense of being in charge. Being belonging. And we even kill for it to belong. I belong to a nation. I exist through the existence of that nation. So I do anything in the name of that nation. The sense of belonging has two connections. One is zinc and one is copper. If you get the right ratio of zinc and copper, in a way, mix it with amino acid which you take from the skin of the top layer of both, and you can add to it in so many ways both of oils at the same time. You've solved half of the problem. But you can't go around and give this to every soldier.
Can you restate the last part that you had after you said the amino acids?
Oh, you want to copy? Don't forget.
No, I just was thinking if you make this mixture and you put it within yourself, we each have the, I guess I would call it the antenna or the radio station. You know, we have the same DNA or 99% as everybody else. So whatever I put within me, I can potentially, you know, and I'm just asking your perspective on this. Is it true? Like, you know, a radio dial, I can broadcast that.
I'm teaching you something very simple. And that simplicity is that if you see, we call it ADHD, sense of belonging. We belong in two directions. One is emotional and one is physical. But when it comes to one to the other, we do not allow, we do not understand. When it comes to essence, and I'm not trying, we said we are moving away from, what do you call it, using gases. But if you are a medical person and you understand it, it's very easy. You have to understand belonging has a physical limitation. And then that limitation has a what we call emotional connection, and it has a physical connection. So anything which has belonging needs to satisfy both the physical side and the emotional side. The belonging needs to be satisfied in equal strength or understanding which is much stronger than the other one. This is what we need to do. This is what we have to understand, that you have to satisfy both. You need to satisfy both. Otherwise, belonging has no meaning. So, to satisfy a soldier, not to kill, you have to satisfy his belonging feeling, and you have to satisfy his physical connection to that belonging. So what do? You cannot give him all copper, and you cannot give him all zinc. You cannot sit there and watch one day it will change. You have to understand the essence of the change in him has a strength. In our body, we have amino acid. So in that process, we already know the solution. Why don't we go in the process where there is a purity amino acid that we can match it? What does this mean? This means you have to go to the purest part, which there is nothing at the physical side to it. You go to essence of emotion. Yeah? You go to the essence of totality. And then you go to the essence of using the emotion to bring back the totality. Which means, okay, now I understand anything to do with emotion, I have to go to amino acid of the strength of my brain. Anything to do with the physicality, I have to go to the strength of emotion because there are no coppers in my brain or the structure of my emotion. I go into dimension of physicality. Where do I store copper? Where can I talk or get to it? How do I get to it? And the strangest thing is, can I measure it? How do I measure it? I don't give you an answer because then this becomes a noose around every man's neck. Because we want to understand. It's you who's got to find a way. I'll just show you so many tricks how to get it and where it sits. If you don't get it, I wasted my time and your time. So we are trying to find a way that you can reach every man, every soldier. So you want me to come and chew it for you? Or you go to understand that you actually have this inside you. The whole purpose I said I sit quiet is I want to know, or you have to find out, what is the trigger point for peace. Then you can use it on the king, you can use it on the president, you can use it on the soldier.
Is it through the star formation when one reaches the soul would be a star, and then through the star formation this can be a field, and the field can affect everybody at the same time?
Yeah, but where is your star formation?
Well, when I access my soul, I become a star with the star. So I need 2 more points, the earth and somebody else who's a star.
You have it in the structure of your lung if you're that way physical. Why do you need another one who might have your strength or you might not have your strength?
Mr. Keshe, can I at least ask you when you explained this about the 20%, because maybe you will activate...
I just explained the 20%. What do you want me to do?
No. It was connected with something else. Do you remember when you taught it?
Then you know it.
More information. there was more information how to balance this 20.
If you know it, you teach us.
No, do you remember where you taught it? Because then it will trigger my memory more.
I don't need to, because I know exactly what it is, and I've just told you. The
No,
only problem is you don't listen.
no,
If
you
you
connected
listen,
it with
I've been
some.
telling you I love you for 26 years, and you still don't listen. Now you want to hear this one?
Hey, Caroline, I have a question for you. You see, like for example, at the time you were born, or I was born, or Mr. Keshe born, or other people born, there was a
You don't want to know my age. It's got so many digits in front of it.
we're almost the same age, Mr. Keshe. No worries. Okay.
How many millions you put in front of yours?
I'm 56.
I said, how many zeros you put in front of yours? Mine has many.
Oh, you're thousand of years old. I mean,
You don't know where our soul comes from.
including your ancestors, maybe yes, but I don't know. Maybe you're right. Mr. Keshe, Amy, Caroline, is the time you were born, like I was born, and other people were born. The galaxies and everything in the universe was so different. At each moment, things are different. So I'm thinking, if this Earth is a nursery, each of us come to learn something. So each of us have a certain event happen in our life, and we have to approach this event in a way, in a correct way. And do you think, do you believe like each of us has a destiny? And I mean, or no, everything we choose what to do. Like somebody who is killing a soldier is gonna feed his emotion by killing other people. Maybe it's because of the time he was born. He's supposed to go through this process to learn from that process. I don't. Do you have any answer for that?
I know that in the position we are, if you look at it energetically, even if you call it planetary or universe or galaxy or even bigger, if you have analyzed what Mr. Keshe has been saying and repeatedly putting like a real dot on it, he says they're all around present this planet because something very special is about to happen on this planet. And everybody is very curious which way or how this will evolve. Now, he has given you more secrets that this is a nursery. This is, I would love to use the word honeypot of souls because there are a lot of souls getting created here. But at the same time, there are a lot of wise souls, I would call, present among us. And they know why they're here. They know through their feeling and their attraction to what the energy is getting taught to come closer and to expand more and to try to reach more, but somehow they're not clicking within themselves how to reach this level yet. But Mr. Keshe said there is like a blanket around this planet that we don't see, but they see everything about us. And I explained it before that the reason Mr. Keshe is here is because we carry a huge gift. And he's enticing us and he's steering us and he's directing us to open this gift. We've been as we all feel, there is somewhere a connection which is not happening. But I think we need to reach to a certain maturity of understanding ourselves first and know who we are. And to, as Mr. Keshe explained yesterday, to synchronize enough that the path can open up. And I think we are too busy in our head. And because you remember the guy explained that when I want and I make a wish, he says it doesn't happen. But when I'm just...
It's me.
When I just leave it and I don't touch, it just creates itself. And Mr. Keshe uses the word detachment. If you detach yourself from what you wish, it can manifest. Because if you hold on, I explained it in an afternoon class. I said, I'll give you an example. I said, you want to order, let's say, a 3-store garage package, yeah, for your boy that he can let his cars to run down on his garage, fuel station, car wash, everything is with it. You place the order, you pay with your bank card, so the company knows your address and everything to send it. But one day later, your child starts talking. He wants a fly pad, or he's interested in having even helicopters on top of this garage, whatever station. You stop the order. You stop the payment. You change your order to add this helicopter part on top of it. So your order has to be reconsidered from wherever you ordered it. Your payment has to be reconsidered. And it definitely is not going to be shipped within the days you estimated. It will be delayed. Now, with your wishes, it is the same way. You wish, but you have sent your wish out, but you are recalling the wish because you're not sure that it's complete because you want to add something else to it. So you don't let and detach yourself from where the path is supposed to go because you're holding somewhere on it by your bank card, by recalling it, changing your order. Then how do you want this to be manifested if you keep on holding on to it? Detachment means when you have manifested it the way you want it, and you always work in the benefit of all or more, and it's just, then it will, when you let it go, that the order is gone, it will, and it has time to manifest. If you keep on recalling it, you keep on stopping the energy flow, you make changes, you don't know when to make up your mind or how to make up your mind. This is the same way with the humanity. They keep on creating and they're holding on to it. They don't let go to be in trust that the manifestation can take place. That's the fear. You don't have enough self-confidence to stay in your trust. I explained it 2 days ago to Dr. Klaus. I said, it was a very bad rainy day. And it was supposed to rain till 6 o'clock in the evening. And I walked out around 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I was looking. And in the meantime, I received the information from Caroline that the lake was short with 10 centimeters of water, and because it's been so dry and so warm. So when I walked outside and it was still raining quite good. I was walking under the umbrella having a cigarette and I was looking at the lake and I was looking at the forest and I looked upstairs. I said, this is enough for today. I said, the lake has received because you've been pouring in it from yesterday evening. I said, it's Sunday. I said, people are going to go back to work tomorrow. They're here because they want to recharge. They need to recharge. You're locking them up with this heavy rain. Nobody wants to come out, not even the children. I said, please, this is enough. I said, it has rained enough. I said, the forest has enough water. I said, thank you very much for your showers. I said, but it would be nice to get it dry and some sunshine. And I walked back in and sat down and had an afternoon rest. And when I woke up, the tockling stopped. I said, oh, it has stopped. I walked outside and it was dry. I said, please now, can you just open a little bit more, because these people all have to go home with their wet stuff, and that's not pleasant, especially not when you're camping. Sleeping bags are wet, tents are wet, and people need to break up. I said, if you give us 1 or 2 hours, a very nice, sufficient sun, that everything can go dry, everybody can at least still go home happy, it would be very pleasant. Within 15 minutes, we start receiving sun, and it just kept on opening up more and more. By 6 o'clock, everything was dry. So I explained to Klaus, you always make your wish into the benefit of all, and you're always graceful for the gratitude for what you have received. Because it needed water, it needed to rain, it was extremely hot. And I said, thank you. I said, thanks, it's enough. But I didn't stand still every minute to check the weather. No, I let it go, because that was my wish. But it wasn't the wish for everybody who was around me. And everybody benefited from getting it dry, having at least 2 hours more sun, getting everything dry, and the children start jumping back in the lake and went swimming. You need to have confidence who you are, and your soul will guide you for what purpose you're here. As I said yesterday, your soul has taken you by the hand to come and to join and to be with the knowledge of the foundation. And to get, you walk into medical, you get attracted into peace, you get attracted into other departments. Each soul has a guidance of purpose where he will shine in the best he can do. That's why I keep on asking people, please listen to your heart. If you become a teacher, that you can teach from your heart, that you combine your knowledge, what you're gathering, but with your love of what you're doing. Those are the best and the most beautiful teachers. If you're forced to do something against that is not your niche to do, you will come out miserable, and the students will lose their attention as well. Mr. Keshe teaches with love and care. Even though sometimes he goes harshness, but we all understand why. But because his love and his care is all in it, that's why everybody wakes up when Mr. Keshe walks in. The ear spits up because they know the soul makes them alert for what is about to come to be received. So if you become a beautiful dentist and you take care of every single detail, that your patient doesn't have pain and they're happy to walk out, what will they do? They will talk, go to this dentist because she is beautiful, because you work with your heart. I said the same thing yesterday about the health station. The health station is perfect because the people who have assembled it, have made it, have nano-coated it, have GANS-coated it, they work with the essence of the intent that this will serve so many people and reverse so many problems. But it's the one who is operating the system which sees the changes so rapid. It's his intent to allow and how allow the interaction of the people which have such a problems. It's his soul which dictates how they come in and they walk out with such a pleasure and they start talking the same way. I always say, if you want to have a beautiful business that can make money, I'm talking in the matter state now, but it's the same, maybe you understand easier. If I want to have a business that makes money and honey, and I mean that I have a good life of it, I will do what I love to do. because not a single minute of what I do in the matter of that I have to create it to earn money, it will just flourish, because in everything I touch, it's love. I like it, I do it, I care for it. It will just go because you put your love in it. You see stars coming up from young age. What do they keep on repeating themselves? We love to dance. I dream only about dancing. I dream only about singing. So their heart, their intent, the love, the care, the details, it's there, and they're so confident. So they create the path for what they desire. So if somebody wants to be a soldier, I do not know what he wants to experience. But I think a lot of soldiers turn up because the parents don't say and don't request. My child does not go in the army if he has to carry weapons. My child is not going in the army to go and shoot and fight battles. That was my decision. I decided my child is not going in the army. And if he needs to go, he's going to go in as a humanitarian or in a position that he does what he loves the most, that he can be the best. But definitely not carrying guns or delegating or being in war zones. No way. You have so many, I'm sorry to name the word, Americans. It's a tradition that the oldest boy, he has to go in the army. They're forced to go, otherwise they're ashamed to the family. Why don't we reverse their thinking and say, excuse me, I would be ashamed if my son goes into the army to go and shoot somebody? And on top of this, they connect religion to it, that they are Catholic. How can this happen? Because to me, it says, thou shalt not kill. They're stealing other people's life. It doesn't add up. But I know that the biggest change you bring, if you work detached from holding on to, because you're holding your order back, it cannot manifest. That's in its simplicity that I told it before. Our oldest one of the boys, Rocky, he was wishing for a PlayStation. The boy had such a desire because it was just coming in the market.
Carl, can I stop you? Because we want to know what field the strength we are looking for. You're going somewhere, I was disconnected, I couldn't come in. We want to find out what is the strength. What is strength? What do we have to do? We have to find a measure. There is everything, if you go back to all the teaching, everything has a measurement. What is the measurement of not fighting? What is the measurement of peace? What is the measurement we can give? What do we have? What medicine we have? You know, in some armies, they add certain chemicals that controls the sexual behavior of the soldiers when they're in the army. Do we need to put something in the water like fluoride? Or does that have a meaning with us? This is what we're trying to find out. This is what I'm here for. Where is the sense of not killing? Can anybody give us a measurement? This is what we are here.
Mr. Keshe, measurement of not fighting is 350.
Is what?
350.
What is 250?
350.
Of what?
Because,
you know, do you give them 350 kilo of gold, they go away?
What happened?
Do you give them 350 kilogram of gold and they stop fighting?
No, it's not like that. You see, I read a book long time ago, The Eye of the Eye with David Hawkins. He was measuring the frequency For example, Jesus Christ had 900, Gandhi had 700, and he was explaining that frequency of human up to now was below 200, which was very like all about fighting and then humanity right now, a lot of them have come about 200, I think 70, which is very unusual. And a person with 700 frequency can lift about 70 million population. Somebody like Jesus could, 900 can lift, I don't know exactly, but a lot of people, because only having a couple of people with that frequency, we can change the whole planet. We don't need really so many people. It's just a few of them can lift. If we calculate 70 billion, we need maybe a handful of people, maybe 20 people to do it. According to that book, I'm saying.
Yes, but can we have a measurement? We need measurement. We need people who understand what is measurement and tell us what is the measurement for peace.
So when you say measurement, what kind of a measurement are you asking us?
I'm not asking you. What do you do? We know the measurement of crying is creating emotion inside you that it allows you to create physical tear. Okay?
Okay.
Now, you tell us what is the measurement, what do we have to do that will release an emotion that allows us to create peace. I want to go and stand in front of the president and I say, President, I want you to really feel I need peace. And I want you to understand what it means to me that you have created peace. But the guy doesn't understand. And he has already received $1 million in his account to create the war. So my strength of peace has to be much higher than the strength of his bank account. So you got to tell me, what do we have to do? Which drama classes do we have to go to that we manage to find peace, we manage to enforce peace, we manage to persuade man to put the gun down. This is what is my problem. This is what I'm trying to get you lot to do. How do we measure? Because we have to find a technique. The whole game is finding a technique that we don't fight anymore. Huh?
Mr. Keshe, can I say something that way?
Do we have a doctor? Do we have a doctor who can tell us how do you make a man peaceful?
This is a doctor of another side, of another kind. This is Gatua, Mr. Keshe. I would like to say something.
Please go ahead.
According to what you have said, the answers you said is within man, so it's within us. So I would find that in the soul, and then in terms of measure, how do we get to the soul? Then I would go with iodine, 127.
Yes, but where can I find your iodine and your measure inside you?
In the soul.
Pardon?
In the soul. In the soul. Because the soul has everything from the universe. I start to be corrected.
But where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? This is my problem. Where do I go? Where do I find that strength?
My understanding is that it would be in the soul. You would find it in the soul, and you just thought that we can get to the soul through our heart.
How do you hold on to your own frequency when you increase it? By focusing on love and care. You continuously can increase your frequency yourself, but you have to hold on to it by keeping and staying in a state of love and care. And not to let it go down, because then your frequency goes back down. And at the same time, you can elevate the frequency from people around you and hold on to it. It's just a matter of how strong you can hold on to what you manifest as a peace level inside you. You're the generator yourself. You don't even need to measure it, because you can generate. I explained that before. You can even, you're already carrying it. It's just a matter of increasing and holding on and building up. You can increase your levels on continuous, minute by minute. It's just you need to learn to focus and to hold on to it, which means don't let your energy to lower down to negativity, and don't let nobody to come in the field to bring it down.
Yeah, but I think they're all what we're looking for. What we're looking for, and we're going to go on this again and again. Somebody can come and tell me, you go and stand in front of the soldier with a gun in his hand and try all the frequencies on this planet, whatever you call it, and come and tell us it worked. He dropped his gun. Years ago, years and years ago, I was with a very beautiful girl in Aberdeen. Not a girlfriend, relative. And I said to her, in front of in Edinburgh, and I said to her, if you go and stand in front of this British soldier, which stands solid with these heavy things on his head, you've seen them in front of the Queen Guards, they call them. They are not supposed to move. And she's very beautiful. I said, if you send him a kiss, he'll move. We did everything to move him. It didn't work. And she went, stood in front of him, and she sent him a kiss. And the guy couldn't stop smiling. And he moved. So it took one kiss to move a soldier. What do we need to move to stop that soldier firing a gun?
Well, I think you found, I think you strongly suggested the answer there, Mr. Keshe, which is love, ultimately. If we take, for example, the idea of the sailors that used to, the tales of the sailors in the Mediterranean, who I think it was, who sailed, and there was the sirens or the mermaids that would sing to them, you know, by the shore, say, when they were sailing by. And the rumor was they would have to tie themselves to the mast to keep themselves from jumping overboard to go and follow their heart with these being attracted to these sirens, to these mermaid type women. And so here are these men who are dedicated to their ship, to their crew, to their, you know, to being together in this journey and so on. And yet they're, and probably in a military ship, because most of them were pirate ships or other types of government military, you know, conquering ships at that time. They're willing to throw it all literally overboard to, you know, follow this stronger emotion. And because it's a stronger emotion, it takes precedence over the lesser emotions, or in the case of some of the war type emotions, it's more of an absence of love rather than you know, hate directly or some other lower
Shall we
negative
send a
emotion.
mermaid to every soldier?
Well, I'm thinking of this. We can't send the mermaid. Well, we could perhaps, but there's two factors in there. There's one is there's a way that women can stop wars, and they have done this in the past, and they're doing it now in some locations, is that they withhold their lovemaking to their men if they go to war, basically. And the women band together and say, basically, no more sex until you guys stop being so violent. And that ends up smartening up the men pretty quick, actually. So that's one thing that comes to mind. The other thing that comes to mind is more practical and important, is the theme of music and how the feeling can be transferred through music. And that maybe that's a way that we can explore more within the realms of the Keshe Foundation, is how to use sound and music to get the message out, basically, but not through the words necessarily, although the words might be important and the music can carry that feeling that goes with the words, but it might be just certain sounds or certain tones, certain music. I mean, we know that they do that in war zones. They play certain kinds of music to irritate the other side. They play it at very high volume in order to have an effect. They do that in with Korea or South Korea and North Korea, exchange loud music or loud annoying songs back and forth and so on. But maybe if the war zones were permeated by music that made people feel more loving toward the other side, what if we had, essentially weapons that made the other side lay their arms down, and both sides were using it as a weapon against the other side?
What you touch is very, very interesting. I'll tell you why. During the Iran-Iraq war, it got to that point. Noise became a fear. What it means is that what they did to each other, they start mixing sugar in the rocket launch. They added sugar, and when the rocket was going, it was making 10 times more horrendous noise than the before. And that created a lot of fear, especially when it was used over populated areas. And what is interesting is what and how, why do we, with everything, so a noise has a fear. We carry fear with us, with the noise.
Mr. Keshe, I have a question.
Well, let me explain, please. So many bombs and so many things fell on England during the Second World War with all the noises of it, but didn't stop the British to kill. They became worse than before. There is something fundamentally wrong in the structure of the human being. And that is what we have to change. Not the noise, not this, not that. We have to change something in the DNA of humanity. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less.
Can I ask my question?
Yes.
You know, we have blanketed this planet with organces, and we have increased the frequency through our magraphs. And I know in the background there are thousands of magraph star formations up and running. Upon all based on your teachings and the loading. How can we use this blanket and this frequency and this light, which is already in position, just to increase it? Can you show us or teach us how to increase the fields that they can connect more or go to a higher light or to a higher intensity? Because I think that's where the secret sits. That we can use that 20% which is short by working through what we have already created. But we need to get you as a guide because it's all in place and it's everywhere. It's well blanket. We need to learn to find how to, or even more increase it, or to learn how to connect it. Because that's when we will elevate all. I've been teaching people to use the 3 ganses in the palm of the hand and to first to balance themselves and then to generate whatever surplus they were receiving to give out. And they have started applying it. But I think the missing link is to link all of it and increase the frequency. And I think you're the key holder. We've done our work, we followed your steps, we have loaded, we have spread, we have blanketed, our intent is correct. Can you teach us how to increase and connect?
How can I teach you to connect?
We done.
You've done, but I tell you what you haven't done. What you haven't done. That is, the intent is not there correct. Everybody made maggrav units to save energy. Everybody made maggrav to screw their nations or whatever. That was their thought. I don't pay. Many people made maggravs, as I said, is all right. He has to give it to us and we take it. And nothing was done the right way. There are many magravs. How many of you made the maggrav and you paid for it? None. How many of you made the cores for energy? None. You want to do it your way, and then when you hit the wall, you come and ask, you show me?
I understand, but we couldn't stop. We encouraged them. Knowledge seekers have been trying to guide people, but maybe they didn't understand sufficient enough for them to be able to apply it, although it was all over your teachings. But my intent was correct. And from a lot of other knowledge seekers, the intent was correct. And I know the majority went wrong.
Nothing. You know what it is, the balance. We said to people, you know very well, and the others, we said, you took so much from foundation, what did you put back in? It's their right to give it to us. We gave everything freely, and then they came to accuse us. And that's where humanity is blocked. You're all fed up of war, and then you can't get it. You come and say something there. Can you tell us? Yes, I can tell you nothing is going to happen. Not that the people who made the magravs and made the saving and whatever, and then they said, oh, now he's asking to be paid for. We gave it freely. But those of you who haven't understood the reality of it is, how many of you how many of the Keshe Foundation supporters or whatever you came in to steal put a blessing on what you made, that from it, that unit works in your house, in your place, that it feeds to you, that it can get more. The whole process is man has to learn. Until it doesn't learn, it will go nowhere. And that's the whole purpose of all this teaching, is that we are here to give freely, but we are not here to be fooled freely. And everybody around the work of the foundation has fooled the foundation.
May I ask you a question, Mehran?
And then, in a way, the foundation is you. So you've done it to yourself. And now it's still the same. Everybody comes to learn how to find a tool of peace. I tell you one thing, the minute that soldier drops the gun, they pick it up and they run. These things doesn't sell. Nothing will sort anything out till we change in the structure of the body of the man. Essentially what is wrong. It's the same with the sharks, it's the same with God knows the wolf. They will kill, they carry on killing. We have to change one essential point, and that is, we need to teach the man, we need to change the environment of the man to the point that it changes the DNA of the man, RNA of the man.
Did I recall correctly that before the magraphs even, or just at the beginning of the magraphs, you said, or you guided, or you advised, when you make your first magraph, you give it away?
Did anybody do that?
I remember you teaching it. You said the first one you make sure you give it as a gift to somebody you know before you make your own. And that was the trick.
Did anybody do that? Did we ever get anybody doing it? Nobody did.
I think there's people that have done that. In fact, I know that quite a few people have done that. They've given away their magraphs.
The first one.
In the plasma reactor group, for example.
The first one you make, you give away. That was clearly in the teachings. Even the help pen, anything, the first one you make, you give away before you make your own and start using it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the intent of giving first before you receive yourself. That somebody else was more important than yourself with what you received freely as a knowledge.
Okay, we're gonna stop this because we can go off for hours. This didn't bring us back. I should have stayed out of this. What it is, the bottom line is, we need to find a way. We need to find an answer. We cannot riddle around it. We have to find a solution how we can use our soul, our emotion to change humanity. And then through it, once we find a code, once we find the pattern, once we understand it, we can change the whole structure of the life on this planet. It will not change. Wars have not changed it. Nothing is going to change it. And in so many ways, the only thing which is going to change the man is more and more sorrows. Because wars have not stopped. Nothing has stopped in any shape or form, managed to stop the man from killing. If they killed, they found an excuse to justify it. If they killed, they pushed to kill more because there was more in it. So what do? How far do we go? Who do we push through to get this thing sorted? No one on this planet will make any move to help with this, except the man. All these peace treaties, all these going to United Nations in the back of creating more wars. The weakness is in the structure of the creation on this planet. And I keep on repeating till one day somebody understands and make a move for it. Someone understands and become to know how that it felt. I started coming in because that gentleman touched a very, very sense of the whole lot, and he just walked away. Nobody understood what he meant. I brought in the sense of what you call it, nuclear material, because it brought senses back, and it just got walked away with. Because we do not understand what it does, what it means. Go back to that point. Where did it come? How did it affect me as me that I could do something with it? What strength did he have that he made such an impression on me? I hated nuclear weapons. I always did. And in every way I escaped to work with anybody who was involved in it. So my point goes back in, and that is, very simple. As simple as will ever come.
I think Alberto managed to touch your soul when he was talking. This is my...
Exactly. Exactly. How do we touch the soul of another person that affects him not to touch, not to think? It's not touching a gun. You can kill, you can destroy anything. I've met people who actually watch people killing each other. That's their job. They get paid to watch how people can destroy each other. Why do we do this? Why do we stand this kind of behavior? Where can we go to change this behavior? This is the biggest problem for me. And if it cannot be seen, it will be for all the human race. Where do we go that we stop killing? Now somebody can tell us.
If I may say something, this is Hassan from New York, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, please.
A few years ago, a friend of mine asked me to find a definition of love and discrimination. And she said, you have 3 months. And I looked into the dictionary and everything, but then I came to the answer that love unconditionally, love your neighbor. And I realized on my day of death, what would I wish? That I loved all. And I even loved my enemy. That made me change. And although we hear that in scriptures, and many people that I talk to, they didn't grasp it. And when I explained to them, they said, I love you because you made me understand that. So what I did, I applied it to, my wife, people around me, and I keep giving. But I saw the behavior changed because even though I gave and gave, but I was not expecting anything, I elevated them. All I can say, I can work on myself. I can elevate my soul. And I think it starts with one, and maybe I can affect others. This is the way I can contribute.
Yeah, but can we measure it that you can teach the others to do the same as what you did?
Would my elevation of soul would affect others?
Yes. Can you teach it that the others do the same?
But that would take time. It would take a long time because one affect the others and so forth. Then is going to be exponential growth. But then we have until August 3rd to resolve this. But that will not happen in physicality. So we need something much stronger.
I think if you can, sorry.
Yes, carry on.
Yes, this is Stefania. How are you? I think if we can touch the soul of people, the change will be instant. It will not take. It will take not even a second. Like happened to you, Keshe, when Alberto was talking.
Pardon?
It's like I think if we can reach.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
I think she went to Planet Zeus.
This is Heather. She was saying to touch the soul of the person, the soldier or whatever in their presence would allow them to, receive from their soul whatever they need for balance. Maybe what she was saying.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. This is Alberto again. What if we worked in groups? What if we place our bodies in star formations, concentrating on peace in a specific way for a specific group of people or person or president? And we did it that way. Would that make it stronger?
You're not far from it. In the teaching, in the past, in the process, in the past, we've done this. The core team has done this job very effectively. And we've done it more effectively than anybody else.
So we can begin there.
How to do it.
Excellent.
But unfortunately, it got lost in the process of understanding, in a process of devotion, in the process of getting carried away, in the process of not understanding totally what was getting done. I don't know how to describe it. I don't understand.
Sorry, I drop out. Sorry, I just came in. Sorry.
Yeah, you got cut off. It was good that you got cut off. You found some peace.
I missed something.
Pardon?
Did I miss anything?
Oh, yes, you missed a lot of nice stories.
So, Mr. Keshe, we are back to the Ganses and the Magras and the star
That's
formation.
exactly where we don't want to go. We've been there, we've done that. We wore that shit.
But it worked. It worked. It's the intent towards using the energy to increase the field.
We are in the middle of the desert, we are in the middle of the space, and we don't have any of the things you're telling us.
But it's the intent. At least we have a direction.
You just touch it. You just touch it.
Yeah, it's the intent, the direction towards, and increase it. Yeah, but you taught everything to us. We know. It's just I've been trying in the background so hard to get them to the point to do it. We have been.
Yeah, but I'm going to go back to something and we'll stop the discussion because we are going nowhere. And you keep on repeating it. That word intention, what is it? It has a value.
Yes.
That word intention, it has a position, space, and time.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what are we going to do with it?
I know what happened with the intent with the star formations.
No,
it was
I want to know.
The intent was on that time it was to see, and it was done, and then to increase the fields for the use for the intent of elevation, with the right intent, with the right strength, direct to the souls, because it's only the souls you can move. You can't move the physicality. The physicality has always stayed behind. So we can only work with the fields. And this is what is being covered in all your teachings. Always through the fields, first through the matter, but then always ending up at the soul level. So it's the strength of the soul level we have to increase through the intent. And this is where we can use some extra guidance, because I was there with you and so many other of the core team. And it works. Why don't we wake them up a little bit faster? Because they were not there and they didn't get the full explanation.
Okay, we got a number of core members here. Let them explain what happened. We have a bunch of them here.
Yes, that's why they're teachers.
Present.
Yes, present. Explain, Mr. Present.
So we are always present.
We are always present. What we did to do the last time we were present, that we got it right.
So we have connected between each other, and we connected to the souls who were the targets, selected specifically. And we were giving from our soul. That's simple. Elevating. Giving without expectation. Unconditional.
You were one of the first ones, so to explain to us. That's why we became the core. We became the saviors. We became guys who could do it. What can we teach this lot to do that they get to where we got? Where is the love and sincerity which existed at the time we did? We were all devoted to serve humanity. What happened to us?
Who is not? Who has been lost?
All of us. We're a bunch of lost souls. Where did we and how did we achieve it? We achieved a lot. we showed it can be done. That what made us to become so strong. That point of transition we went through.
The desire.
How do we measure it? What was, because it was core members who achieved this so much. What was in us that we could not find, or this lot cannot find?
Faith and love. In 2000,
Connection.
Voice is cutting, Mr. Half of the
No,
conversation.
we only need please, if you're not a member of the core team, please stop with hold. Because you have to be there. The core members met. We met in the back of the God knows the street, wherever we were. We made
Mr.
sure
Keshe,
we are
your
there.
voice is cutting, half of it.
it's not doing that in other places, only at your computer, so please check your internet connection. Or
This is a problem when you have three connections, Arman.
Mr. Keshe's
We cannot
voice
hear
comes
you.
through.
Half of the conversation.
Pardon?
No, it's okay at this end, Armin.
Here is okay too.
Your problem is you're on the other side of the wall, Arman. Get on this side.
Maybe the solar flares are too strong in California.
Yeah.
Well,
But we were
Okay.
the what do you call? We are still part of what we call the Keshe Foundation core team. As a team, as a group, we managed to establish what we cannot define. We're trying to find that word. What went between the members of the core that it became the cornerstone of all the works. It was unconditional love and care, unconditionally knowing that we can make that difference.
and it was a piece of quantity of certainty given at the beginning when there were the 3 reactor systems in 3 parts of the world in December 2014.
Can you repeat that, please?
So there were 3 star formations of GANS reactors in 3 different locations on the planet. One was in Italy, one was and 2 other in Canada.
One was in Germany.
Also in Germany at Morsel in Berlin. And it was a connection in between. And according to our choice, we had to choose member, one core, one reactor from the many cores. And we started to take or to give. And it was a very sensitive Swiss magnetometer, which could confirm very well the changes because there were interaction and communication between these reactors. That was when it was stopped one of the reactors by Mr. Keshe's wish, according to somebody else's choice, which one to stop, this or that. So they gave a little certainty for those who we are so much attached to this material appearance of this physical universe. And it was just a little introduction of what is possible to be done. But later we started to work.
We understand a lot. We understood a lot. We captured a lot. We captured each other's soul. We understood as a core team, wherever we were, we had an effect. Now comes back to where we started. And this goes back to what we said. Those of us who felt the change, who caused the change as part of the core team, that's where we come into operation. It's time for us who felt it, know it, understood it, now can do it. Now can teach the others. This is where as members of the core team, we come into operation. We come in to deliver. A lot of this means nothing to 99.9% of the people. If you look, just look, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nearly 5 members of the core team are here present. I don't know who else present in the background. We've done it, and it's time for us to bring back what we felt, what we did, back to the people who don't understand it. If you remember, once we managed to stop a reactor with all the core members of the core team, as you said, in Germany and in Japan, Canada and in Italy. Isn't it time for us to get together and bring that position back? Maybe in the tomorrow session or maybe Friday session, we ask all the members of the core team to be present and we repeat the same process. But we have to have a direct effect, direct target, as I call it. The point is, we let people decide. Those who are present on Friday, tomorrow is a public teaching, but in a different level, we become part of the same. Maybe we can even do it in tomorrow's, but it's too short notice to have all the members of the core to be invited. And we go through the same process, what we did, because that's what's called the core team. When the totality loses control, somebody's got a microphone open, please. When the totality loses its track, it's our job to put it in track. Maybe we start from tomorrow in one session and we silence everyone except the members of the core team. We have Lisa from China. We have 2 members in China to call. Who else we have? Guy just went home before this teaching. Right. We have to get in touch with Brett. We have a colleague in Portugal. We send a message to all to be present in the public teaching and see who turns up. And we take the process up. But we are here to do, and we ask the people on the other side, what we call non-Keshe Foundation members. Let it be the wishes of the Earth Council or the Universal Council, or let it be a wish of the public. Where all 3 come to an agreement, we target our forces. And we see, because we know it works. Be it the American president, be it asking for resignation of the Pope, being for declarations between 2 nations. Let the other choose, and us as a core team, we show the power of what can be done, because we know we are there to do it, and whenever we've been together, we have managed to achieve it. Those of the core members, please invite all the ones in. And for those who are in the first session of the Friday, Tomorrow, let people decide what is their wish. What do they see as the most important piece of the whole peace process to start? And we test. I don't think it could be better than this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. Caroline.
Yes, we have to do it. We have to bring the 12 members of the core team into operation. We can test our effort, and then in the next session, we bring the members of the Earth core with us. And then in the next test, we become the core team, the Earth, and the Universal Council members all together. And then we ask the rest of the humanity to follow us. Thank you very much for today. Let us start the process, and then we all learn what we got to do. I'm sure a number of members of the core team will not be there. All those who are present will carry the course, and we'll see. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, once again.
Thank you.
And that'll end our teaching for today for the Blueprint for Peace for Humanity. That's day 4, Wednesday, July 5th, 2017, the afternoon session. And we'll have another Blueprint for Peace for Humanity on Thursday at 10 a.m. Central European Time to begin.
Make sure that's not 9 a.m., Rick, and the 179th KSW.
Oh, yes, indeed. That's right. Sorry about that. That's right. We're starting. It's a whole workshop thing at the 179th workshop, which is how our Blueprint for Peace started last week, actually, with the 178th workshop. But yes, thank you for that correction, Vince. 179th workshop at 9 a.m. on Thursday. Okay, let's end the live stream and our recording.